All right, joining us right now is a former eight-time WWE World Tag Team Champion, a former FCW and TNA World Tag Team Champion.
Mhm.
He is a WWE superstar, one third of the New Day. He is, of course, Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed. Welcome to the two-man power trip.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. But I gotta do one thing. So when you say it, you gotta say it right. You gotta say one third of your boys, the New Day. There we go.
Yes, nice. Well said. Well said. I can't quite say it that well. The New Day. Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, there you go. I got it a little bit. I can't say like Big E though. My God, he's
Oh, no
got
one, no one can.
that bass and the voice and
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's got it. So kind of what has been going on in your world? It's been crazy kind of seeing all this reaction to you on Twitter and your hashtag going on. So just tell us a little bit about that because I feel like everybody's tweeting it. Sasha Banks is tweeting it, Booker T. I mean, all these guys are tweeting this hashtag. What is going on with Creed 4 G4?
So as hopefully I've been able to make people aware that would feel like following a ridiculous man such as myself, I am very into video games. I am very indebted to the culture. My roots are there. And so with the advent of this new version of G4, G4 is like it was like ESPN for video games back in the day.
Hmm.
If people don't know. So it's coming back. And so being a person who watched G4, being a person who wants the next chapter of his life to be fully in video games, this is a perfect opportunity for me to really see if I have the chops, I guess, to keep up with the big dogs in the video
Yep.
game industry. Because like I said, just watching it in the past, it was always just like so good and so fun, and so many of the hosts went on to do so many great things. And so I've always been one to try to have the at least like half of the next chapter of my life written. And so this is something that would help me get into that. So then when I am done wrestling, I feel like I'm already in the gaming space, definitely, but this is
Yep.
something that would help solidify that. And I just think it's a great intersection, being a
Yeah.
host of video game stuff. Games I love. I love also just public speaking, being in front of crowds, and so it just to me it feels like a perfect fit.
I feel like the wrestling world and the gaming world, right? I mean, there's a big crossover. Like a lot of fans love both, right?
Definitely. And I think it's just because people play video games, I think a lot of the time as an escape from regular life. And a lot of
Yep.
people enjoy watching wrestling because it's that escape from regular life. You get to go to this fantasy world for, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, 18 hours if it's mania. Um, and you get to, you get to just let go,
Yeah.
and you don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about, car payments. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat for dinner tomorrow. You can just kind of exist. And so the fact that you have to go through your teenage years enjoying wrestling and possibly being
Hmm.
made fun of for it. And so you either stop watching wrestling or you power through, and then you're adult that's watching wrestling. It's
Right.
the same exact struggle for people who play video games. And so everything that I've been trying to do is show a lot of people from the video game community and a lot of people from the wrestling community. It's like, hey, you're the same kind of nerd. We should
Mm.
we should all collab forever.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's such a big crossover. I feel like video games have way eclipsed wrestling's popularity, right? I mean, video games seem to be the most popular thing, and wrestling is kind of unfortunately maybe tapering off just a little bit. But right, video games are like possibly more popular than some big TV shows and big hits you see around.
Yeah, I think video games are, as a whole, just as a genre, is probably the most popular aspect of entertainment, like
Yeah.
on the earth, because just like wrestling, regardless of the language you speak, you can understand the physicality of what's going on. And in video games, if you don't understand the spoken language, they probably have redubbed it with the
Hmm.
language we
Yep.
understand, or
Yep.
they've put the subtitles in, so
Yep.
they're just so accessible. Like I could talk to somebody in Japan about Last of Us 2 through like a translator app or something, and we have the same experiences with the game. So there's that shared space, and I
Yep.
think that's the reason it's become so popular. But yeah, definitely in the last decade, the last 15 years, it's definitely become, think it's definitely the biggest entertainment force in the world.
So, what's kind of like some of your favorite video games and some of the stuff that you just absolutely love and can't get enough of?
So I really, really like Mario Kart.
Nice.
My
Yeah.
my favorite games Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. Uh, and so on my twitch.tv/Austin Creed,
Yes. Get it out there. Yeah.
we do Mario Kart every once in a while, and I'll wear a heart monitor when I'm playing because you can see. So my resting heart rate, I'm very lucky. I do a lot of cardio. My resting heart rate's 55.
Hmm.
Like pretty much dead when I'm sitting there.
Yep.
But if there's like a good race going on, like my heart rate has hit like 154 before just
Oh,
sitting playing Mario Kart. And so if that doesn't tell you how meaningful it is to me to play Mario Kart with nothing on the line,
yep.
then I don't know what can.
Yeah, you absolutely love it. I mean, that's crazy. You must be getting pretty intense in that damn race there
Oh
to,
yeah.
to get all the way up that high.
Oh yeah. It's kicking and screaming the whole time. But definitely Mario Kart. We play a lot of Uno on Up Up Down Down. We do that every Wednesday.
Yep.
It's me, Adam Cole, Cesaro, and Tyler Breeze. And it's we're 18 weeks deep, and it's legit been one of like the shining beacons of my life during quarantine. Because you don't realize how much you miss interacting with people
Yep.
until you start interacting with them again. And we play every Sunday, then it airs on Wednesday, but we probably spend an hour just like talking before we play because it's that human connection through video
Yeah.
games, and that's why
Yeah.
I like it so much.
Tell me like about the start of Up Up Down Down because that has become just a huge, huge hit. I believe Guinness record holder, and I mean it's done or you've done a lot of stuff with Up Up Down Down. And the title belt is pretty damn cool. I mean, there's so many awesome things about it. But how did like the formation of that kind of get started and just kind of skyrocket?
So I wanted to create a show, kind of like a travel channel type of show. You know, they're always going to different places and trying different foods and stuff like that.
Yep.
These destination shows. So I was already doing that with wrestling. So like anytime that we'd go to town X, I would find whatever the local arcade bar was, and I would go, and I'll always tweet out like, "Hey, after the show, I'm going to Up Down in Milwaukee," and then people would come because I'd say that come get roasted in NBA Jam, and so like maybe like 10 or 20 people will show up, and we all just play video games and have fun all night. And so I realized that these places were literally all around the world, and I'd find them in France, I'd find them in London, I'd find them in Japan, I'd find them in Australia. And so my thought was, well, I'm going to these places anyway. If you just give me like one person with a camera and one more person to like help do stuff, we could just do shows based on all of these towns that have all these arcade bars. Made the whole pitch, went in so excited. I'm still in like just out of developmental. So I'm just like, yeah, bright, shiny, happy. And they had the network going. So they're like, hey, if you got any ideas for original shows, I was like, this is perfect.
Yep.
Went in, did the whole deal. Hard no. Like,
Oh, damn.
all right,
Yep.
sweet. So there was somebody on the office side of things who was looking to make a YouTube channel with one of the talent. And so he found me through channels and was like, hey, I'm trying to do something similar to what you are. What if we mix them together and just make a gaming YouTube channel? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Because then I can still have my show. I can still get that in.
Yeah. Yep.
And then after like a year, it was a full year of talks with like upper management. Because at first it was like, oh, well, if we do this, it's wrestling. We don't always want to see behind the curtain as much as like you're talking about seeing behind the curtain. So I was like, well, if it's not, I don't think it'll work because it won't be as genuine. Like we can't sit around playing Tekken and all like being gimmick screaming at each other. It's not the same to me. You got to just have that natural vibe of like your human connection there.
Yep.
And so once we got past that, they're like, okay, cool, do what you want since you're super passionate about it, like, and you think it'll work, like we'll give you a shot to let it run. And now we're here and we've been able to make the Up Up Down Down title, which is that's the most legitimate title in the company. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I just
Not cheap either.
yeah, it's very intense. But I just saw like they made my new figure and it has the Up Up Down Down title. And
Wow.
not to get like super weird, but that's probably like one of the most meaningful things that I've been able to do since I've been with the company, because like it's a physical manifestation of like something that like it was my baby, and they're
Yep.
like, and it's being acknowledged as like a real thing. And so it's just it's very humbling, especially because all of the guys and girls on the roster who are kind enough to give me their time to help it grow. Because I mean, if I didn't have anybody, I think it'd still do okay, but it's much better having all your friends there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's not just me in this. It's me. It's the roster. It's the team who's editing and my team who's doing social. Like I have the greatest team on the planet to help me do this stuff. And so without them, none of this would exist. So again, it's just super humbling to see it grow so much in 5 years.
Are you shocked at all of like at the success and how quick it came and really because like you said, you got the title belt, which is awesome, in the figure, the popularity, the Guinness Book, all your buddies want to do it. Like, are you shocked? The YouTube numbers are nuts. It's just like any of that like surprise you? Like this is like surreal. I just love playing video games, and I didn't think it'd be this popular.
Yeah, definitely. And it really hits when Breeze and I are doing the general manager mode because we played SmackDown versus Raw 2006. And like we're in 2020 and there are
Yeah.
people watching
Yep.
us play this like dead game. There's no like downloadable content, there's no new stuff that you can do with it. But we've been able to figure out ways to make it fun. And we make current day people in the game and then have them wrestle as if it's 2006. And they're
Yeah.
kind enough to like cut promos as if these matches are really happening. And we sit and watch them, and people will sit and watch these live streams where we're playing the game. And so that's the one that really hit, because Breeze and I would always play this game. We played this game for years because we love it. And
Yep.
one day I was like, you know what? We need a new show. You want to film GM mode? We can play and just film it and see if it pops off.
Yeah.
And that first episode did so well, we were like, okay, we'll do this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just it's wild. It's crazy to think that anyone wants to watch us play this like text-based wrestling game.
When the guy, let's say they win the tournament, they win the title. Like, do the guys really legitimately have like a competition about the title? I mean, is it
Oh,
really meaningful to them, or are they just like kind of doing it for the camera?
no, this is, like I said, this is a legitimate title,
So
a
they're
legitimate
intense. They're
championship.
intense.
So
Yeah.
to the point where it was the Saturday before WrestleMania when Kofi was challenging Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. That Saturday night, he lost in a tournament where he had the opportunity to win the UpUpDownDown Championship.
Oh man, what a
He
weekend that could have been.
he at 2:30 in the morning, before the biggest match, not just of his career, of his life, one of the biggest, most important moments, he is texting me at 2:30 in the morning talking about what he could have done differently to possibly win the UpUpDownDown title. And so, is this legitimate? Yes. Do people care about it? Hell yes. And you'll see
Because
when people win it, it's real reaction. There's real pride because they don't know the game. I pick a game at random. That's why I can't win the title. I've taken myself out of the equation so I can be a fair and equal judge. So when you just see the game, you go, oh crap, okay. You try to figure out the buttons. How do I play? Then you got to try to win. And so it's all the nonsense you see is 100% real.
who beat Kofi though? Who bested him?
I think in that night, I think he was in a tag match with AJ. And they were playing. It was him and AJ and Joe and Makazi, his Surat. He's one of the seamsters there. And I think that Kofi and AJ, yeah, lost that tag match because like AJ got pinned and like couldn't kick out. And so Kofi was hot because he didn't lose.
Right. Technically, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out ways to like get a title shot again. Like when he texted me, he was like, "Hey, do you think that Makazi's awake? Because like I could go and just challenge right now." And I'm like, "Dude, it's 3 a.m. Go to sleep. You have
Yep.
you have a match for the title tomorrow.
You got
Relax."
Dana Bryan tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, in front of a few million people probably
yeah,
watching. Yeah, you may want to take it seriously.
yeah.
I
Get
love
some.
though that it's so legitimate. Like you guys are like literally, at 3 o'clock in the morning, like calling each other and like I need a rematch or whatever. I mean, that's pretty damn intense.
Yeah. Well, that's honestly like that's what everybody is about. Because when you think about it, even if you don't see somebody on TV for a while, like that person got hired for a reason. Most likely because they have something in their personality that is magnetic. And while you might not get to see it on television, while they might not get minutes on a microphone, while they might not get minutes in a match, you might be able to see them on like .com, on like the YouTube interviews in the back if they're trying to like fork their way in. But you can definitely see them on UpUpDownDown. And in the interim, if you're not getting to see your favorite wrestler have a match or hear them cut promos, you can hear them cut promos on this show. You can see them fire up on this show. And maybe there's somebody that you didn't know a lot about. So for instance, like Baron Corbin. So many people are like, oh yeah, I hate Baron Corbin. Oh, and it's like, yes, hate the bad guy in the movie, but don't like take a dump on the human person.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Yep.
when people are on UpUpDownDown, they're human selves. And so you learn about people. And I feel like while it is definitely a look behind the curtain, I think that's important because in this day and age, everybody, we get it. We know what wrestling is. We know it's entertainment. But I think that when people actually get a chance to understand the person behind the character, it makes them appreciate what they're doing more. So they'll still boo when Corbin comes out because
Mhm.
he's still a dick. He's still a
Right.
dick on TV.
Yep. Yep. Great
But
character.
yeah, but you understand it from that perspective, and you see it more as the art form that it is, rather than just yelling at someone and trying to call them a bad human. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting to me is, let's say 20 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, whatever it is in wrestling, they would always go out to the bar. They would get drunk, maybe, or get in trouble, or maybe they're getting girls, or maybe they're doing drugs, something, to get in trouble. Nowadays, it seems like they're playing video games. They're not getting into trouble. You think that that is like, instead of drugs and alcohol as an escape, they're using maybe video games as like the modern day escape?
Yeah, it's definitely an escape. It's a much safer form of
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
And I know that when I got to the main roster, um, video games were still kind of frowned upon, and it was like, be in the ring and be working on your arm drags and stuff. And it's like, I was just in developmental where we did arm drags every day for 3 years straight. I think I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and if I'm not, and I should be doing that, like I should know that. Like if I'm not good enough at my craft, if I'm not putting butts in seats, if I'm not, if my promo game isn't right, then I shouldn't be doing these things. But if I am, I mean, that's on me, and I'll lose my spot because I'm not good enough. Because
Right.
I'm screwing off and playing video games rather than having my stuff under control, taking care of what I need to take care of, and then sitting down and playing video games. It's the same idea of like when a kid comes home, if they have homework, oh, are they going to play games first? No, 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 no. Get your work done, then you can do what you want. So that's kind of how we uh like forced video games in the locker room. And
Hmm.
once you're done with stuff, you can come hang out. But I would always bring my computer, and I have a bunch of emulators on it, and then I bring like my PlayStation or Xbox or something, and we would just play kind of like in the locker room off and on. And then I started bringing it overseas, and we had like a Madden tournament. People were like, "Oh
Oh,
crap,
it's awesome.
this is
Yep.
really fun." And this is all before the channel started. And the biggest thing is that we would play at the airports because we'd have layovers like every so
Oh,
often.
yeah. And you're all there all the time. Yep.
Yeah, and so there'd be 10 of us, and then I break out Tekken, and now there might be like 4 guys who are close friends, and the other 6 guys are kind of like there's 3 friends over here and 3 friends over there, but then I break out Tekken, now we're all together. People that may not normally hang out will hang out through video games. So now I'm more comfortable with you, you're more comfortable with me. Now later when we have a match, we've already kind of got a rapport, and that match is going to be a lot better than it would be otherwise because we've
Right.
had this comfortable space together.
Yep.
Um, and so as time passed, and then like the channel came to be, whenever someone from like that old line of thinking is like, "Oh, what are you doing playing video games?" You'd be like, "Yeah, this is a sponsored video that we're all getting paid for. So you want to go back to catering and leave us alone? How about
Yeah.
that?" So,
Yep.
because if you got the time to walk around and try to police us, you got the time to be doing something that's work worthy.
Yep.
And that's always been my thought. So through all of that, now video games are like a staple in the locker room. And it's nice because there's less of that air of like walking on eggshells, and instead of like, "Hey, you're new, so we're gonna line up 10 shots at the bar, and kid, let me see what you got." It's like
Yep.
you can get on the sticks, and if you can beat Kofi and Madden, then you can hang out with us.
Right. Right. Completely different ball game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I feel like maybe the agents should almost be like, okay, these guys aren't going to get in trouble tonight. I don't have to worry about them missing a town. I don't have to worry about, maybe showing up at some jail, right? I mean, you guys are it's going to be safe. You guys aren't obviously going to get in any physical trouble or get in jail or anything crazy like that
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger parts of it too, is that this is a safe way to have fun, stay out of trouble, and things that I've seen from the previous generation, and then guys that I've talked to and guys that I'm close with, like I hate hearing the amount of funerals that my friends have to go to,
Hmm.
just
Yep.
because of like it was hard living. And this isn't just in wrestling, this is my friends in all forms of entertainment who are older, and they say, living in the 70s and the 80s, just like, crushing it, like they're like rock stars legit. So like people playing in bands, or people stand-up comics, and it's like people were just living harder, they were
Yep.
living faster. And so to be able to be in this generation where we are playing video games instead of engaging in that kind of stuff, regardless if people like it or dislike it, if there's people that, "Oh, well, you should be doing this, this, and this," and like, well, I'm happy because I'm not gonna have to go to like 6 funerals in a year when I'm 50, you
Right.
know? And
Yep.
my friends are going to be able to play with their kids and their grandkids, and they're gonna be able to, live those life with their husbands and wives and get old and get wrinkles and feel how bad it sucks to like get up out of a chair and have to get a cane and a walker. Like I want to experience all that stuff, you know?
Yep.
And if that means I play video games and there's like a section of people that yell at me because they think I'm not like hard enough, whatever. Like you have fun being angry at everything, and I'm gonna go play Tekken with my friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yep. Now, speaking of like Tekken and gaming and your friends, got to mention Mr. AEW Kenny Omega. Is that still a huge brewing rivalry between you guys? You guys still buddies? Am I allowed to bring him up? Am I allowed to talk about him? I mean, because it's
Our
funny because that's like an interpromotional thing that could happen, but in the video game world, not obviously on TV.
Yeah, so he's been on Up, Down, Down, him and the Bucks, the
Hmm.
elite. So we had a Street Fighter deal at E3 one year. So and again, this using video games as the conduit, we were able to do something that no one would have ever imagined we would be able to do. And I was able to put a wrestling spin on it with us doing a contract signing and cutting promos at each other. And
Yep.
and it was fine, we got to butt heads. And so video games are definitely the conduit for that. And I know Kenny is like a huge gamer as well. Like we see each other at conventions, back when people could travel and do things. We'd be at the same like fighting game conventions
Yep.
and stuff. And it was just nice to be able to find someone who is obsessed with video games and wrestling like as much as I am. So that rivalry still definitely going strong. I'm pretty sure it will never die
Nice.
until he just concedes and gives up, because I am better than him at most games. I'd say like I'll give myself like 90% of games I could beat him in.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's got a little 10%.
Does he agree with that, or is he going to say, "No way, that's not true"?
Oh, he'll talk a big game, but once
Yeah.
it comes time, nah. You just don't have the chops, kid, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So with him, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's kind of like groundbreaking that you got a
Yeah.
WWE guy, an AEW guy, and even the Bucks or whatever. Like you're doing stuff. Is it ever possible, you think, that it could actually be something like on TV, or that would never in a million years happen if you guys are separated, via contracts? Like meaning there's going to be no really interpromotional, or is it something that maybe you guys can break ground and do something more than just on YouTube and maybe something on TV?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the goal. The goal always is to destroy boundaries and do things that we like shouldn't be doing, to the point where people can enjoy that, because it's something that the fans, I think, would get a lot out of. And I think that we as performers will get a lot out of that too, because we get to branch out into doing new and different things. And so that's kind of always the goal. What my sites are always set on. Is it a possibility? I think everything's a possibility. Everything is possible given the right circumstances. Anything can happen. So something that I definitely work towards. But so we'll see. That's a situation where I have to say we'll see. I can't tell the future, but I wouldn't say that it definitely will not happen.
Nice. Okay, I like that. Where did you? Because I'm just trying to think, like, where you guys would have like kind of first met. Like, would it be Deep South? Like, is that where you guys kind of first crossed paths, or was it before that on the indie scene? Like, where did you guys cross paths?
I slid in his DMs because I heard he liked video games as much as me.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
I said,
Weren't you
"Hey,
in Deep South around the same time as him, or no?
no." So I was
No.
never in
Okay.
Deep South. I got into Deep South. So okay, I'll give you the story.
The other
Um,
Deep South, I guess, technically.
Yeah, so this was deep south in Georgia, right? So I'm in school, Greenville, South Carolina, Furman University. I tell my teachers, hey, deep south is in Georgia. I got to cut class because we went to school 5 days a week. And I was like, can I get the work for the next like 2 days so that I can like be ahead? Because I need to drive down here and give them my resume. I need to give them my resume. And so for me, I never thought about it in wrestling terms, because I feel like in wrestling terms, it's like, oh, give him a DVD and maybe send him like a 8x10 or something. I was of the school of thought. My dad always told me, whatever your job is, whatever you're going to, if you're going to work at McDonald's, bring a resume. You just look more
Hmm.
professional. And
Yep.
so like I had the folder, I had my 8x10 plaster on the front of it. When you opened it up, there's my cover letter, resume right behind it,
Nice. Very
business card there.
professional.
Do you remember Light Scribe DVDs?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I light scribed my image on the DVD with my wrestling name, with my phone number, my contact, and there's like 3 matches in there, like 1 heel, 1 face, and then 1 tag. And I was like, hey, this is
Nice.
this is me. And so I was bringing that down to them. And so me and one of my buddies, we drove down from South Carolina down to Deep South, found the building, and the windows are all blacked out because they don't want people looking in. And I just opened the door and it moved, so I walked in, and I'll never forget. Everybody's practicing in the ring, and it was like a record scratch, and everything stopped. And oddly enough, Kofi was in the ring. And so luckily, there was a guy that I knew who I didn't know that he worked there. He was like in the office side of things. He saw me because I went to high school with his niece, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" We chatted. He brought me back to Jody Hamilton. I gave him my resume and, talked to him for 5 minutes. And he was like, well, you took all the time to drive down here and give me this resume. Regardless of what I see on this DVD, you can come back next week and we can give you a spot on the show. Probably just like a squash match or something, but you can be on. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Stayed and watched the show that night. The next morning, I'm back at school. I'm feeling great. I get a text from one of my friends, Sal Renaro, and he just says, what did you do? I said, what? And he sent me a link, and it was WWE pulls out of Deep South. I was like, come on, man.
Damn it. Oh,
Come
man.
on. So I was never in Deep South because they had left and became FCW already. But yeah, this was, I don't know, years after that, maybe like 2012. I just kept seeing video game stuff with Kenny, and I was like, oh, well, I'm starting to do this thing. Maybe there's something like a line that we could do. So I just hit him up, just very matter of fact, like, hey, love that you love video games. I don't know if you know me. I introduced myself. I wrestle as well. Cool. Nice to meet you. And then we started chatting. And I think I was in Brooklyn, and he was also in Brooklyn. So we met up at a arcade bar and made like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 videos of us playing video games against each other and just put them out like every couple of weeks. And that was like our first real like interaction with each other. But just a super nice guy. And again, like I said, I was just happy that there was somebody who was as knowledgeable and like deep into the video game scene as I was. So just again, I'm always just looking for a friend, somebody with similar, likes, dislikes that I can do stuff with.
Nice. And I do think you did end up closing down Deep South because Johnny Ace came in there that next day. Like, yep, close up shop. It's over. Deep South is over with.
Yep.
So how did you actually get noticed by WWE? I mean, obviously, you were in TNA, Consequences Creed, but how do you actually get on like WWE's radar and get into FCW? How does that go down?
So I sent my resume and stuff. So I did the Deep South thing.
And Lights Grab DVD.
Yeah, Lights Grab. God, it was sick. I think I might still have one. So I did that, and whatever they pulled out, and then college. I send my stuff out like mail style to like the headquarters, and I send it, I don't know, 30 different places. And the only place that replied to me was WWE. They had a letter.
Whoa.
And they
Wow.
said, we felt obligated to reply because you put so much work into this resume. So we wanted to let you know that, we're not gonna, offer you anything, and here's why. And it was like, this is better than anything I could have gotten besides a yes, but like I knew why. And so they said, I was too small. I'm like, okay, I've been hearing this literally all my life, and it was the reason why everyone said I wouldn't be a wrestler. But you know what? Screw that. I will wrestle. And 6 months before I graduated college, I ended up landing a deal with TNA. And so I came in for Bound for Glory because I had like wrestled a bit with AJ, and I, from what I understand, they needed like random black guy A. It was when Truth and Pac-Man were together, but Pac-Man Jones he was contractually he couldn't do anything physical. And so they're like, well, we have this tag match and he can't wrestle, and it's like Bound for Glory, like the biggest show of the year. And so I luckily got brought in, and it was me and Truth. And so I debuted in TNA as a tag team champion. There we go. Yes. Title won without ever being in the match. That's important. Remember that.
Yeah.
So we do that match, and then maybe like a month or 2 later, I get reached out to like, hey, we want to offer you a deal. And so looked it over, told my parents. I was so excited, so pumped. I was like ready to just sign everything. And my mom was like, so what does this mean about school? And I was like, well, of course I'm going to finish. I have to. She's like, well, the way this looks, like you'd be on like a crazy schedule and you wouldn't be able to do it. So I ended up having a talk with Jeff Jarrett, and I'm like 19, maybe 20. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate this deal so much. This is so incredible. And I want to sign this, but I have to finish school. He goes, okay. And I was like, well, what do you mean, okay? He goes, would it work if we put you on the half schedule and then put you on a full schedule when you graduated? And I was like, that would be perfect. He goes,
Yeah.
all right, cool. I'll send you a new one tomorrow. And then they sent me a new contract and I signed it. And I was I remember being with my roommates, my 3 roommates in college. I'm like, my God, it worked. And so was with TNA for a while and then ended up getting released. And it was like maybe a 3-month span where I was back on the indies. I went and did like the Super Juniors tag tournament. I did the Super 8 and just kind of bounced around a bit and then sent my stuff to WWE again. Ended up getting a tryout because now I had a little bit of clout. And then the tryout was Monday through Friday. But I had to leave to go back to New Japan because I was going to go for, at first I was going to go for this was going for the Super Juniors. Sorry.
Yep.
So I drove down from Atlanta. And so it was Wednesday and my flight was like Thursday afternoon. And I was like, oh, thank you for having me here at the tryout. But like, I have to leave Wednesday night. So I can't come to the show and watch on Thursday. And I remember it's Johnny Ace. And he was like, so you mean we're going to give you an opportunity of a lifetime? And you're gonna leave halfway through? And I was like, sir, I know, I am so sorry, but I have to leave. I have a flight to catch. He's like, oh, where the hell are you going? That's more important than this. And I was like, I have to go to New Japan and wrestle in the Super Juniors tag. It's the first time they're doing it tag style. And he was like, New Japan? Oh, hell yeah, have a good time.
Oh, nice.
And then I got called like the week after that they wanted to sign me. And so it's interesting because I was supposed to go back to New Japan for like 3 months. And I was like begging to stay in the dojo because like I learned to wrestle in Southern Georgia. And then I worked Georgia, Carolinas, like Mississippi, Alabama. Like that's where I worked normally. So I never had that experience of like going up north and like wrestling with the guys who were like doing all these crazy falsies and all this cool stuff and pile drivers off the top. And I was like working a gimmick for 10 minutes before I touched anybody. And that's Southern wrestling.
Yeah, Southern style. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So when I got to TNA and the X Division was a thing, I was like, maybe I'll hit a drop kick and a hip toss and then like dance a little bit. And they're like, what? I was like, I wasn't in that mindset. I never had that experience of doing it in front of an audience. And so when I was supposed to go back, I was like, please let me live in the dojo. Like, I want to learn. I want to do squats. I want to do push-ups. I want to learn all of this stuff. And they're like, okay, so next time you can, because there's no space right now. And then right before I left, I got the call saying that I was going to get signed, but they would need me like a week into me being in Japan. So I called New Japan and was like, hey, I got signed. Like, I don't want to screw you guys over. Like, what's the best way to handle this? And I remember it was Tiger Hattori. He was like, if you can come here and give us like a week or two, we'd appreciate that. And then go do your thing. But like, all blessings. We understand if you got to just completely like cancel, like we get it. You go make your money, kid. And so I went back for a week and then came back over here and then started wrestling. And yeah, and then we've gone from there.
I feel like everybody, whenever they mention Johnny Ace, they always got to do the voice, right?
Yeah,
that's just like
mine's real bad though.
But everyone always does that. You know what, kid? You're not gonna make it here.
Yeah.
Everyone always does the Johnny Ace. I love it.
Yeah, he's got a hell of a voice.
So when you actually land in FCW, who like it is like Dr. Tom, Steve Kern, like that's your trainers. Dusty, obviously, Dusty Rhodes is there as
Dusty,
well.
Norman Smiley, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. My God.
Yes, the Big Wiggle. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Although his Japan stuff is great too.
Black Magic, my God, people. So there's so many things, and this is again what I was talking about. It's kind of with Up, Down, Down. So so at that time when guys are working in WCW, they could still work in Mexico, they could still work in Japan and make their WCW money, never being on TV. So if you're really a fan of that guy or girl, you can still go and watch them, or like at that time you could like trade tapes with people and see their stuff still. And so that's not really a thing now. So that's kind of what I'm trying to use Up, Down, Down for. Like, you don't see your guy or girl here, like we'll see him over here. But yeah, Norman stuff, obviously like in WCW, fantastic, incredible. But like getting to see him shine elsewhere, like he's such a good, solid, technically sound performer, like one of the best.
And his shoot style, when he's doing the shoot style in Japan, it's like, wow, this guy is tough as nails. I thought he was doing the big wiggle, and like, oh, what a shit, this guy can actually work. Like, yeah, he's unbelievable. That's awesome though, because he's been around for so long. Like, he must be a great trainer. You know what I mean? Like, you don't last in WWE for all those many years if you're not an excellent trainer.
Mm-hmm. He's literally like one of the smoothest guys I've ever wrestled with in my life. Like, as far as like smooth, it's like him and Lance Storm. Like the
Yes.
two smoothest wrestlers I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. And they say almost Lance Storm might be too smooth
Oh my
with some
god,
of the stuff.
he's
Yeah.
like baby oil covered in butter, sliding down an ice slope.
Yep.
Smooth.
So when you're in FCW and they kind of start you, did they tell you like they got a plan for you? Do they like the name generator? They're going to make up a name for you. Like, how does that work? Because I feel like sometimes when they got guys in FCW, it's almost like not a free for all, but it's like, okay, now what are we going to do with me? Like, like what's next? Name this, that. Like, how did that kind of process go?
So I obviously wanted to be Austin Creed, and then
Yes.
they said there's too many Austins in wrestling, and then like 3 or 4 years later, there's like 9 more Austins, and I was like, what the? But hmm. Which is actually a blessing in disguise though, because as I altered some things, I was like, okay, so um, Earl Hebner, when I was at TNA, would always call me Tiger, and it was like whatever, because it was like his version of Kid, but then I'd always affiliate that with Woods. And so that's his
Hmm.
nickname for me. So I was like, okay, so I was like, so Woods is my last name. What's my first name? And I was like, what do I like? What do I like? Ooh, I like the X-Men. I like Professor Charles Xavier.
Hmm.
And so and Xavier means translates into smart. And so I was like, okay, I like Xavier Woods. And then they said, well, names with X's usually don't get through. And I was like, well, try this one, please. And so they did. And then when they came back like the next week, they're like, yep, here's your new name, Xavier Woods. You got it. And
Nice.
so I was elated because it was like the first pick on my list. And I don't know, I feel like a name, when you get to select your name and you feel good about it, you're better able to like embody whatever that name is supposed to be in your mind. And it would just feel weird to be named anything else besides like Xavier Woods or Austin Creed.
Yeah. I feel like you got lucky though, because some of these other guys, like Aiden English was telling me, like the process, he literally put in like 100 names and they kept no, no, no. So like he just settled on Aiden English because that was on a piece of paper from some guy that like I guess was like the assistant to the writer. I mean, you got lucky because this name generator thing is just like Baron Corbin. Like what the hell? Like now it's like yeah, it's smooth, but Dolph Ziggler, like it just is like what? Where are these names coming from? They're just two random names thrown together. So you
Yeah.
got lucky.
Very, very. But like, so I'm sure he explained the process, like writing down a bunch and then getting him told no, then
Yep.
writing down a bunch. So yeah, I was fully prepared because I had seen like 10 different people like why in the time that I'd been there go through this and just seen no, 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 this sucks. Get it out of here, get it out of here, make new ones. So I was terrified. I was like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to go through this process of picking something and then having someone hate it and then being told no for no reason. Um, and so when they came back and just told me my first pick was in, over the moon. And side note on Aiden English. So he went, and again, he probably explained this how he went through the beginners class and then ended up
Mhm.
getting a job. So at the end of the beginners classes, they have shows. And then they would let us, like the people who were signed, do commentary and come to the show and cheer and freak out and stuff with like a live audience.
Yep.
And I remember Aiden was throwing these drop kicks that were the most gorgeous drop kicks I had ever seen in my life. And every time he'd hit one, all of us would just scream bloody murder because it was so good. He'd been wrestling for like 3 months. And so after I remember after that show, all of us like were just like, hey, is he getting signed? Is he getting signed? Is he getting signed? And then finally, like a few months later, he came in, and I remember there was like a group of us who was so excited for him because it was like we remember seeing you, like we understand the work you've put in to get here, and it's cool to see you get here.
That's cool too, and no like like bitterness or jealousy, like oh we don't want the guy to get signed and take our spot. It's pretty big of you guys. Like no, get this ass signed. He's great, or he's got great potential.
Well, I think it's when you hear people say stuff like that. Oh, they're going to take my spot. No one can take your spot but you. If someone's better than you, that's not their fault because they woke up at 6 in the morning and worked hard while you slept in. That's not on them. That's on you. So I don't like that mentality of,
Yep,
oh well, let's get a bunch of crappy people. So like my averageness seems great. No, I want people who are better than me to be in the room. So then I know how to get better. If at any time you're the best or smartest person in the room, you need to switch rooms because you're not going to learn anything. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not living. If you're not living, you're what? You're dying.
yes, well said.
So, of course, in our group of friends, like that's what we're all about. Like, if you're not gonna take what you do seriously or try to hone your craft to the best of your focused ability, what are you doing?
Very well said. Very true. So they pair you up in FCW with Wes Brisco, the son of the legendary Gerald Brisco. What was that kind of like? Was that just literally get you guys just thrown together, or was there some like proper planning involved with that?
No, we were buddies, so we
Okay.
were excited to be tagging together, and also too, I think both of us, because both of us are shorter guys, So we both had that, like, at the time we had that like Napoleon complex of like,
Hmm.
yeah, we're short, but we're gonna beat the hell out of you to prove a point.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to have somebody who had that same thing in their heads, because there were many a times where, you got to wrestle the big guy, and it's like, well, I don't think I would take a bump on that. And it's like, and I'd see Wes look at me like, oh, you won't, will you? Okay. And then we get out there and see him just drop kicking people in the
Yeah.
throat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, you went down, and then we just keep wrestling the match. Then everything's cool. So it was very fun to be in there wrestling with Wes. We had a lot of good times, some fun matches. And I hated the way like that his stuff went down, because he ended up hurting his knee. And then
Yeah.
as soon as he got cleared, like, we were so excited because we heard that we were supposed to go like on a loop. We're supposed to go on some house shows together. And then the week before, he hurt his knee and was out for a while. So I was just kind of training and trying to help him get back. And then once he did come back, it was like 3 days later or something, some sort of super short time frame. He then got released, and we just didn't know what happened. And we're like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
So that was super weird, but I definitely always have like fond memories of wrestling with Wes.
So when they make the change from like FCW to NXT, and you're part of that, are you just like shell shocked? Because they say, FCW. I talk to Doctor Tom all the time, and he's saying, it's a little sardine can in the back of a of a supermarket. It's literally old school to the bone wrestling training. Then they switch over to the performance center of NXT. Is that like shell shock or culture shock a little bit? Because it's like, wow, look at this friggin' performance center, right? You're a part of that change.
Mhm. I wouldn't say shell shocked, and that's just because for so long we had heard that they wanted to build some sort of like crazy college campus-esque facility, and we had seen plans, like people had come down and set up like poster board presentations showing us like what stuff was going to look like, and it just always kind of seemed like a foregone thing, like, okay, yeah, cool, like if we get there, cool, like whatever. But we never really imagined it actually happening for whatever reason, because we're like, no, well, no, we're wrestlers. This is how we train. It's got to be like the bare bones stuff. Like, this
Right.
is how we get good. And so when they told us it was happening, it was still like, okay. But then we went over there to that building, and there's a picture, and it's a bunch of, I think it's like 6 of us with Triple H, and we're putting the first like hole in the wall with a sledgehammer with him.
Oh, wow.
And so
Cool.
so it's really cool. And then by the time it got finished, they had a thing for all of like the press in Orlando came through, and it's like this huge thing, and everybody's in like their nice like NXT shirts and standing along the lines, very like military looking. And they asked me to do like a keynote speech of like what it's like to be like in developmental, and how happy
Mhm.
we are to have this new place. And so you can probably find it somewhere. It's me and my crazy hair, and I got this huge, disgusting mustache on my face. I look like an insane person. But at the time I had gone crazy and lost my mind. So that's a whole completely different story. But yeah, it was nice to have a place that had our rings in it and our gym in it. Because what we would have to do, we get up in the morning, and we're at the school by like 8 a.m. Maybe we're done by like noon. And then we have till like 1:30 or 2 to get to the gym. That's like 45 minutes from the school. And then I lived probably 30 or 40 minutes from the gym. So we'd have to make that drive and then
Mm.
work out and then drive back home. And then that was like our everyday, which is a pretty sweet everyday, honestly. Like, you're just wrestling and working out. You
Yep.
couldn't ask for like a better everyday. Um, Grueling, very intense at times. Um, but it was nice that we didn't have to make those kind of treks anymore. Like, we just work out, and then our gym is right there in the same building. And then there's showers upstairs. And then there's places for us to like watch old matches. There's places for us to watch our matches that we had the weekend before, and we can grab a trainer and talk about it. They had the promo room where you could go in and just cut promos and try to hone your craft. Because before, we just do it. I mean, still now, I do it constantly, like in the car. You cut promos as you're driving. You cut promos in the mirror on yourself. You cut promos into your phone and listen to them back and see where you sound okay. See where you suck. That's how you kind of find your promo voice. So this whole facility was built to take out all of those things, especially for the people that don't come from wrestling. Because I come from wrestling, so this is like in my brain. It's in my blood. It's in my flesh, my skin. But somebody who was in the NBA or the NFL, or someone who's like an Olympic athlete, or somebody who's just like a great CrossFitter, and they're like, oh, I'll try wrestling out, those things aren't going to come natural to them.
Right.
So to have this facility where all of those things were, they're literally mapped out for, hey, if you get good at these things, you're not going to definitely make it, but you will have a much better shot at getting there and performing well if you do get the opportunity to show your skills. And so I think it's great for that. So again, I know it's a super long-winded answer. I wouldn't say culture shock as much as like a wow, they really did this. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah. So that experience, you're doing the keynote speech. They have, they think a lot of you. You're in NXT. Is that just like one of those things where you're like, okay, Triple H is in charge. It's almost like, okay, where do we go from here? Are we going to like really grow the brand? Like, what are your thoughts on NXT? Were they really going to make it that third brand, or you just thought like, okay, this is going to be a nice little developmental, and we'll see what happens?
That was definitely what we thought, but that was because of our mentality of coming from the bubble before. Like we weren't allowed to talk about stuff like that.
Really?
It was weird. So like I was like, you hear about this bubble, and because you see people just kind of appear on TV, and it's like, where the hell did this guy come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's some tapes on him? Like, where's he been wrestling? And so I remember one time Breeze and I got in trouble because we'd been trying to be a tag team for months and nobody wanted it but us and the people, the fans.
The people wanted it. Yeah.
And we made this video that we tried to show to a bunch of people, but nobody was watching it. And so we got our undies in a twist and said, you know what, just post it on the internet. It's fine. Just put it on YouTube. We'll see what people say. And then we got a call at like 6 a.m, like, hey, get in here. And we're like, what happened? And we posted it on my birthday. And it was just very, very much reprimanded for like trying to outshoot our coverage, essentially.
Yes.
Is how it was worded to us, which at the time we were like, no. And still now I'm like, no, that was the right choice. So there were situations like that. So to have this vision that it was going to become more than that, you'd actually be able to, have a show that you were on regularly and have people like know who you are and kind of start the process of figuring out how to be a WWE superstar. It was one that not that we didn't believe it was going to happen, but something that we were just like, if it happens, it happens. Cool. If not, cool. I'm not going to get my hopes up because I don't want to get let down. But then once we actually started running shows at Full Sail regularly, we could see pretty quick that this was something that was going to become a pretty awesome thing. And so the fact that it started there like that and it's grown to what it is now, I think it's absolutely incredible because it gives you that opportunity to see those guys who otherwise would be in the bubble. Like imagine watching WWE and knowing that Adam Cole is in the bubble. Like, and he's not getting to be seen, not getting to have matches. That Keith Lee is in the bubble.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
That type of stuff. So the fact that they have this and so many people can be showcased, guys, girls, they're all doing new kinds of stuff, selling out arenas, like all over the freaking world. It's grown to heights that I never even almost imagined it would grow to, and I cannot express like how proud I am of the people that are there hustling and grinding to make that happen, to put on those performances, because it is not an easy thing to do to perform at that level, especially when you see the lineup and it's like, okay, cool, NXT you're first, then we got a pay-per-view, then we got Raw, then we got SmackDown. You're up there with the main roster guys. Like, it's, if you would have done that to us at our stage in FCW, we would have been, oh crap. Okay. Well, all right, here we go. Let's see what happens. And now at this point with NXT, it's like, all right, well, let's go. We got matches on us. We got experience on us, but I like that because it makes us up our game too. Because like I said, we don't want them to come in through and have an average show. NXT shows are freaking incredible. So that means that we have to put everything that we can into making our show even better than that, and so it's a good, healthy, it's called healthy competition. It's not really competition, but it's a healthy competition.
Yeah, it keeps everybody kind of motivated and focused. Like, oh shit, I just saw Keith Lee, or whoever, Killer Cross, or it was like, okay, or Carrying Cross, whatever they call him. But you seem like, oh no, now I got up my game. These guys are on TV, they're dominating. You got to step up. So that's a cool thing for sure. So how do you go from NXT to WWE? Like, who's the call? Is Johnny Ace again? Like, hey Xavier, we're calling you up to the main roster. Like, how does that all go down?
Mine was super weird because they were doing that show, the ESPN deal, but behind the curtain.
Oh, yes.
So my call up was as part of that show, so they could see the experience go through. But it was super weird because like we knew that from the group, like there was one person who was getting hired or like called up, one person who was going to stay where they were, and then one person who was going to get released. And we were just like, oh, we don't know where we fall in this range, so let's just try to have fun. And so getting called up that way was it's weird, and for multiple reasons. So like we talked about before, I debuted as tag champ in TNA with R-Truth. I just came out as R-Truth's buddy in TNA. Fast forward X amount of years, and I re-debut on WWE television as R-Truth, as R-Truth's buddy. And it's like, well, as long as R-Truth has a job, then I guess that means I'll have a job wherever he goes.
You'll just get put in right with him. Yeah.
So it's cool because I could automatically be comfortable because me and Truth were so cool at the time, and he like helped me out on the indies a bunch too, like even before TNA. So that was good to have. But since I wasn't able to, I didn't have the chance to like be on NXT TV a lot. Like I'd wrestle the Darks a lot. It'd be like me and Ambrose or Mox. Like I think we wrestled each other for like a month straight in the dark matches.
Wow.
But actually Big E and myself were the first dark match in the building. The first NXT match ever was me and Big E.
Awesome trivia there. Nice.
Yeah. And you can ask E who won that match. So but yeah, it's it was weird just because it was part of the show, so it was probably different than how it would have been otherwise. But I don't know, I was just happy to be there, happy to finally be like on the main roster, because people think, or I assume that many people think, once you get signed, it's like, oh cool, I got signed, I'm here. It's not done. Like now the work really starts when you get signed and you're hustling and developmental. But then when you get called up to the main roster, like your work starts all over again. For some people get the rocket, and I'm so happy that they get that. But it's a different type of experience when you get the rocket and when you don't, but you still make it there. You see things a lot differently. And I wasn't one of the guys that got the rocket, unfortunately. But I'm actually happy that I didn't, because it made me think in the way that I currently think, and understanding like, okay, so you have to not only be on your P's and Q's, but you have to also make sure that you're like at the building early, make sure that your body is in like the best shape possible. You have to make sure of this and that and that, and that this piece is over here, and that you know this person, that you understand how to talk to this person backstage. So you learn to keep your head on a swivel a lot more. And I think that makes you a better wrestler, honestly, because you just have these experiences that other people might not get. So going through that situation, that process of, getting the main roster, being with Truth, and then we did like the thing where I kind of like got Brodus Clay's gimmick for a minute.
Yeah.
Which it was weird too, because like when Brodus was getting that gimmick and they're trying to figure out what to do with it, he was running practice matches with me because like I did dance stuff. Like I said, raised in like, all right, where I learned to wrestle, Southern Georgia. So like, if you want dance spots, I got you 9 times till Sunday. And so we do that. And then they'd watch the tape and they'd give feedback like, hey, maybe you quit dancing so well and let him dance more. And then Brodus would always be like, just give him the gimmick. Just give it to him. Like, this is his life. This is what he can do better than most people. But they wanted it on him. And so it's just super funny to go through it. And then once I finally get there, they just give it to me anyway. So to go through that. And then I think it was, me and Truth had a handicap match with Rusev, where Rusev murdered me beforehand and then just wrestled Truth. So at that point is when I got my, like, we'll say I got my effort finally in my system, because just like at any job, once you're trying to, got some upward mobility, you don't want to mess things up. You don't want to rock the boat. And you're like, well, if I just keep working and keep grinding away at it, I'll finally get it. And so in my head, that's the night that all went away. And I said, you know what? I need to go kick a door down immediately. As soon as I get to the back, I need to kick a door down and just say something to somebody. And I did. And it was received with a, okay.
Again, yeah.
And so that's when in my head it was like, okay, so what can I do that I haven't done yet? Because I feel like there's so many guys and girls who might go through the company and like get released, and then they blame the company. And it's like, yeah, you can say like they didn't use you and things like that, but like ultimately I want to be able to sleep at night if I were to get released and say like, I did absolutely everything that I could and it didn't work. Maybe someone told me to try something, but I wanted to do it my way. I'd rather do it my way and go down swinging my own punches than go down swinging someone else's punches, because that's when I start to blame other people for what they told me, when it's actually my fault for listening and doing what they said, even though I thought it was wrong.
Right.
So that was when I changed gears and said, I'm not doing what anyone else tells me to do anymore, ever. I'm just going to do exactly what I'm going to do, and that will tell me if I should be here or not. Because if I do what I want to do and it sucks and I get released, okay, at least I shot my shot, and I know wrestling is not for me. I should go do something else. Luckily, that didn't happen, and was able to like form this idea to make New Day, and then that became successful, luckily, and then formed the idea for Up Up Down Down, and luckily that became successful, and working on a couple other things that I hope are successful too. But
Nice.
we'll see how those go. But it's the whole idea of like betting on yourself, and it's super scary to do at first, I feel, because like I said, you just listen to other people and you play the good soldier and you do your thing. But I think that a lot of wrestling is knowing when to say like F it and do you, because that's what's going to work best for you and for the people that you're wrestling with, because now you're more confident. Now you know I can take a hard left and still be exactly in the lane I'm supposed to be in, and nobody knows otherwise, you know. So it's definitely a very interesting experience. But again, I feel nothing but luck and humble that anybody enjoys anything that I am a part of, even an inkling.
Hmm.
So it's just a huge thank you to people who care at all.
Now you mentioned obviously the formation of New Day. That was actually your idea coming up with that gimmick, or is it kind of a collaboration?
So I'd say the final product 100% a collaboration, but the idea of New Day actually came from something that we did in developmental. So it was me, uh, E, Saxton, and Abe Washington.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
so we were the plan. We were the People's Liberation of American Nationalism. And so Abe was like our at the podium speaker. E was just like our muscle. Saxon was who he is. He was Saxon, and then I was like the hothead. I was like the short guy with the short fuse. And so we tried to get that going, but it didn't really pick up any steam, like outside of the FCW walls. And so we just kind of put it to the side. But it was always something that was in our heads. And so I thought, like, well, what if we tried to go back to that? And so I went and talked to E and was like, hey, like, what if we did this? Obviously, we can't have Saxon and Abe because they're doing different things now. But like, what if we tried something like together? And E was down because I think he had just lost the IC title and was kind of like floating around. And so we tried some tag stuff for a while, and it was like, okay, this works, but like there's something else that it needs. And so that's when, for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, we just kind of like chatted about it and never really got anywhere. And then one day it was like, I I think I think Kofi would be good. And he was like, do you think they'll ever let Kofi turn? Because we're trying to be heels. I was like, I don't know. And I don't know if Kofi would even be interested in doing this with us, because like we weren't super close with him or anything. But I approached him with it and gave him the kind of like the basic bare bones of it. But we're not sure what it's going to be, but we want to do something together. We want to figure something out. And Kofi like immediately jumped on before I was even done pitching it to him. And that's when we gained this friendship and kind of started making an idea. And then we had one of our friends, Michael Notarelli, who was a writer. And so it'd be the four of us constantly, all day, every day when we were at TV, trying to figure out the best way to cut promos, because we'd go to pre-tapes and we'd cut promos together that we worked on that week and then go show them to everybody the next week. But there might be a situation where I'm on main event, I'm in the first match, but then Kofi's first match on SmackDown, and then E's in like the semi-main segment. And so like we'd have to find that time during the show where we could not only cut the promo and pre-tapes, but to cut these promos, we have to like change our hair and stuff. We have to put different clothes on.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yep.
so I have to wrestle, shower, get dressed fast enough to get the promo done so that Kofi can then do his match, and then he's ready for his too. And so we were finding ways to do that. So it was like, it was not the easiest thing in the world to get together at all, but with like the help and the tenacity and the dedication of like Kofi, E, and Mike, like we all made it work. But that only works if the whole team is in it for the team.
And that's so interesting. I thought, maybe you guys were friends all along with Kofi, because the chemistry there it's pretty immediate. So really, you and E were friends, and kind of he comes in the group later. So
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting. How did like that chemistry form? Because it just seems like, man, these guys get along so well. They must have known each other for ages.
Well, I think it came because in working on all of this stuff, we just spent so much time together. So we worked on the idea for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months before anybody ever saw it
Oh,
on
wow.
TV, maybe
Wow.
even longer. And so when we started doing stuff, we went and we asked Vince, we're like, hey, can we be on house shows together? Because we're working on all this stuff. And we take it to him every week. Like we just sit and wait by his door for like 3-4 hours. As soon as he had 5 minutes, we jump in. Hey, we shot it. We shot another one. What do you think? Oh, okay, that's cool. Can we bring you one next week? Yeah, sure. And we just rinse and repeat every single week. And again, to the point where if Kofi had a match and we were all three waiting to go talk to Vince, Kofi'd have to go wrestle his match when we just still wait there. And then sometimes we'd get in and talk to him without Kofi and be like, Kofi's wrestling right now, but hey, we got this. Can we see it? Can we show you? And
Yeah.
so it was a constant. But yeah, the chemistry I think definitely came from us spending all that time together and then working on the house shows together, because we weren't even a thing on TV and they were letting us work these house shows together as a 3-man team. And so that means we're instantly writing together. We're wrestling all of our matches together. Like I said, for maybe 6 months. And then when you saw us on TV, like we already had done all of that prep work, rather than like, oh, hey, these guys just kind of randomly got thrown into a tag team. Now they're on TV. We don't get that time to mesh, you know? And that definitely, I believe that chemistry is 100% the reason that we're still a thing right now and that we've been able to do the stuff that we've been able to do.
Yeah, one of the longest like running like tag teams. I mean, they you could think of, or like really groups, factions you could think have been around for I think 5-6 years. I mean, whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's been a while. So that chemistry is still obviously there, and you guys have been able to set like high merchandise sale marks. I mean, it seems like you guys. I think I read not that long ago, you guys were number one in merchandise for a few months in a row. So like New Day is just kind of getting over and over, and it's still killing it after all these years. What do you think is like the mastermind or the thought process of like the trumpet, adding that in, the pancakes,
Ooh,
the
trombone,
unicorn.
trombone,
I'm sorry,
trombone.
trombone. I'm sorry, trombone. You're right. Sorry, trombone, the unicorn, the pancakes. Like, who's like the mastermind? Is that all you guys just like, all right, let's just throw this out there. Let's see. And like, it's been getting over, but what is like kind of the thought process and who is the mastermind behind adding all the little elements to New Day?
So it's definitely at different times, it's different people. And then sometimes it's all of us. So like the name for Bootios was all of us in this super
Mm.
weird way. So
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was doing, but Kofi and E were on the live events. I think I had like a gaming thing I was hosting. And then when we met back up at TV, the week before we were cutting a promo and we saw somebody had a Wheaties box with us on the front of it. And so we were joking in the car, like, man, it'd be awesome if we had our own cereal. We should start trying to make that. And then when I saw Kofi, he was like, hey man, E and I talked about the name for the cereal. And I was like, oh, yeah, it should be Bootios. Because I was like, I wanted to tell him too. And he goes, what? I was like, Bootios. He goes, that's exactly what I was going to say to you. And so these two, like that's how much we had spent,
Yeah.
like how much time we'd spent together. But then the trombone came from, so I play trombone like since 6th grade on. And so I think it was the night after, I think we'd wrestled in Brooklyn the night before. And so we were still there. So maybe, I think it may have been that right after we won the titles, maybe. And the idea was like, oh, if you guys come out and sing New York, New York. And at this point, we were just trying to see where the line was, because we'd started to get away with like the most ridiculous stuff that we never thought we'd be able to. So I was like, I'm gonna text him back and say, I can play the melody on a trombone. Can we get with trombone? And I texted him, and we're like giggling like schoolgirls about this. And
Yeah.
about 10 minutes later, we get the text back. Yeah, we can get a trombone. And I'm like, what? And so we'd come out the next night. And so I'm not like concert ready to play trombone. If I spent a few months with it, I'd be back maybe. But I can pretty much play anything by ear if it's like short enough. And so got the melody down. We went down to do it. And as I'm playing it and coming down the ramp, there's like the props guy. I'm supposed to hand it off to him because we're gonna have a match. Or Kofi and E are gonna have a match, and I'm on the ground per usual.
Yep.
That's a purposeful decision too, which we can get into later. So I don't hand him the trombone because I'm like, when am I ever gonna have a trombone on TV again? I'm gonna keep this. And I'm like, I would like wave him off. And he's like, okay, cool, see you later. And so during the match, I just start randomly playing the trombone. Because like in my head, I'm like, if I wasn't a wrestler, what would make me laugh right now? And so I started doing it. And during the commercial, the cameraman comes up to me and he's like in tears crying. And he's like, Vince is screaming, laughing. He loves this. He says, keep playing the trombone. I was like, perfect.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
And so when we got to the back, I remember like he was laughing so hard. I'd never seen him laugh like this. And he was like, forever. You always take a trombone, always have a trombone. I was like, perfect.
Nice.
And so I've always been a fan of of humanizing inanimate objects in television shows, whatever, because then you have a link with something that doesn't make any sense. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, her name is Francesca, dope,
Yep.
and she is my life. And so then once you see how important this inanimate object is to a person, as soon as you have an automatic trigger for someone to mess with, it's instant.
Yep.
It makes
Yep.
your job so much easier. And
Yep.
so so that got into the mix. And now there's the trombone there. You never touch the trombone. And anytime someone is like, oh, maybe I do something with Francesca. And I was like, I mean, you can. But if you do, then I have to go off on you. I have to
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to beat you to a bloody pulp because
Yeah.
that I have to protect it. You can do anything else, but don't touch her.
Yep.
So with the unicorns, there's a movie called The Last Unicorn that my high school girlfriend put me on. And the whole premise of the movie is that when that unicorns bring magic. And so the magic has been depleted from this world because there's only one unicorn left.
Right.
And so when we were talking about something, and I was like, oh, like we were gonna say something, we brought like the magic back. And I was like, you know, it'd be super annoying because of this movie if we said we were the unicorns because we brought magic back. And we went out and did it with the fingers, and then we
Yep.
had like the fake ones made, and then they started selling like unicorn headbands. And so we're like, well, I guess we're got unicorns in the roster now. And
Yep. Got
so
that
it's just,
over. Yeah.
yeah, it's just been pieces adding and adding and adding. And I think that's something that again has helped us survive for this long, because while we do like big jokes that like the masses will pop for and understand, a lot of it is based on what's the most specific joke that we can make to a specific community that we're interested in, that we want to show some love to. And so uh an example would be we did a promo where like we almost explained fan fiction on Tumblr to Kofi and then stopped it real quick because like nobody's talking about fan fiction on WWE TV,
Right.
but we will, because we see you. We see you.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Yep. Yep. Now, you were mentioning, you're on there on the, or not on the apron. You're on the floor. Those two guys are on the apron. I know it's Freebird rules. Kofi, Big E, are going to be wrestling. Sometimes you're mixed in. Why, why is it the better mix? Why are you out on the floor, playing New Day Rocks on the trombone?
Because when we need a new layer, we can peel that off, and then you can see what I can really do.
Nice. Okay.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. So is that actually agreed upon by you guys or the agent putting that together? Like, who's the kind of putting that's you
us.
guys? Okay.
That's us. 100% us. Because like that, just like so in similar fashion, when we were with like the Wyatt family and all the stuff between me and Bray, like that was us. Like all the guys like out there working, it wasn't like written in any sort of like angle or storyline or like promos and stuff. I used to do stuff with Bray in developmental because at the time I was Xavier Shango. And so I was Papa Shango's son, and that's what I was trying to do. And like I had like the bone face paint, I had like the chicken foot, like my hair was like dyed white and a tuft. Like I thought this is it. Xavier Shango makes perfect sense. His name was Papa, so of course he has kids.
Yep.
And so Bray and I did a promo early on where like I gave him a voodoo doll to give him like powers over whoever this person he had like kidnapped. So we years ago had this connection of like magic characters together.
Yep.
So it was like, well, you're a scary dude. The family is scary. There's three of us. One of us can be weak to your fears, so you seem more dangerous. Because at the time, people were just fighting him and they're scared of like the Wyatt family, but like they weren't freaked out by this psychological warfare of a monster human, And so to me, if I'm not giving that type of fear, then you're not going to give that type of fear as the viewer. It doesn't make any sense for you to.
Yep.
But if I can portray how dangerous this person is and how scary and how they have this power of like mind control almost, now you think, oh wow, he is a dangerous person. He is a force to be reckoned with, and we haven't touched yet. So all of that was just all of us talking and trying to like slide things in, and it was very. I don't know if this is the right word, but it was like a moment of vindication when whatever the pay-per-view was, when I like almost knelt down to him like I was going to join the Wyatt family, and then Kofi said like the noise that I could hear in the crowd was like, no, come on, don't do it, don't do it. And it's something that seemed so small and like almost insignificant, but for us, we knew like everything around that one moment that we were trying to get to for like months, that piece is that like in a workout, that's the last set. That's the hardest one to do. But once you get it done, you're going to feel amazing. And so, again, we were just happy that it actually worked, because that's like something, okay, we're going to put all our marbles in this basket for 2 months. And so if this doesn't work, sorry, guys, I suck.
Yep.
And so luckily it did. But it's stuff like that where it's the collective unit of our minds thinking. I'll have an idea and Kofi will go, okay, yes, but what about this? And then E will go, oh, well, take that out and put this. And then Kofi goes, well, if you move this here, now we've got the full puzzle. And it's been like that since the beginning. And that's, like I said, again, because we're here for the team. And that's what every decision is about. How does this help the team? There's not one of us who's like, oh, well, I'm going to leave because I want more glory as this heavyweight champion. Like, no, be heavyweight champion. That's dope. We're going to be there with you. People say it's lonely at the top. Yeah, if you don't bring your friends with you,
yep,
just bring them with you, dude. and so we've made sure to never have any spats of like jealousy or even like almost talking or thinking about it, because it just doesn't. There's no reason. There's no reason. And then on like a deeper note, like there's not a ton of strong like positive like black male relationships that you see on TV where we're physically close. It's fine to like hug a man and like
right
to have this. It's fine for me to cry tears of joy and happiness from my male friend,
right.
you know. And so I feel like that's another important aspect that New Day brings to the table. Is it's not that hyper like toxic masculinity. It's no, like we've got a gamut of emotions like everyone does. And I think that it not only makes us more interesting, but it gives people another aspect of wrestling that they might not be getting or may not have gotten for many years.
And I think Kofi winning the title at WrestleMania 35 over Daniel Bryan, that's like the epitome of kind of bringing your friends to the top with you. Emotion, you guys are literally crying, just loving it. Kind of take us back to that moment, because that is like the kind of the epitome of what you're saying there. Maybe the tipping point or the high point of that.
Yeah. That was like legit one of the greatest moments of life, because as you know, things can just change in the middle of a match.
Yep.
And it might not go the way you want it to. So I didn't want to know what the end was. I was like, don't tell me, because I can't, my heart won't be able to take it if it's not what I want.
Yep.
So like E and I were like watching that match like for real. And so when he legit won, like it was this moment of like complete and surreal like calm. I know it didn't look calm. I know it didn't sound calm, but like in that moment, I can remember not hearing anything but Kofi and E's voices. Like I could not hear the crowd. I couldn't hear the ring. Like all I could hear was their voices.
Wow.
We were all just right there together. It's always, okay, you win the title, show your face to the camera and be there so everybody can see you. It was like, no, this is for us. Like we did this together and no one will ever be able to take that away from us. And we had our moment. And then we got up and did the wrestling thing, and it was awesome. But I'll never forget that. Legit, like to have the opportunity to be a part of something like that. Like I feel like with Kofi doing the gauntlet matches, and then it coming down to like me and E doing the gauntlet matches, and then the battles that we've had with the Usos and them saying no, you know, go get your bag, go do your deal. Like there's so much emotion tied to all of those different experiences to culminate into what happened at Mania. So it was just, I was a wreck, a complete emotional wreck.
Wow.
Because we did it.
Yeah. So Kofi or Daniel Bryan never like led on to you guys like what was going to happen. They like it was no spoilers.
Well, I asked specifically to not hear
okay.
anything. Yeah. I'm a weirdo like that. When if I've got to watch wrestling, let me just watch wrestling.
Well, it's good too, because you get your literal natural reaction. That's how you really would have acted. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, 100%. It makes it so much better when it's genuine like that, I feel.
Absolutely. And another thing with you guys was so interesting. When the Demolition were the tag champs, you know, in '88 and stuff, like you would think like that record is not going to be broken because of wrestling and where quick title changes and stuff. But no, the New Day breaks the tag team record. Does that mean anything to you guys? Because to me as a fan, I'm like, wow, Demolition, no one's going to break that record. You know, Honky Tonk Man, no one's breaking that record. But you guys broke that. It was like 400 days or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, they were champs for a long time. So did you guys feel that breaking that record?
Oh my God, yes. 'Cause that's another like real thing. I think the night that we broke it, we had to wrestle twice. So we wrestled and
Hmm.
won, and then I think like I popped a cork of champagne like all over Stephanie on accident, and she's like, "You're wrestling again." It's like, no. But again, that layer of me and that point in time in New Day being on the floor most of the time, now we're able to use that thread of now I'm in the second match, and everyone goes, "Oh God, is he gonna be able to do it?" And now
Hmm.
you think if Woods is in the match and New Day is gonna lose. That's what's in your heads because you always see me on the floor, you see me at the table, and so now that main event is now made 10 times more interesting because every time I hit the ground, you're thinking I have the ability to get pinned. And
Yep.
so then when we don't lose that match, when I pin Jericho for us to keep the titles, it's a completely different emotion than if it would have been Kofi and E in the match. And so
Yep.
to have that different kinds of layers, like, yes, people are like, oh, Woods is like the weak link of the New Day and he's never won a title. Okay, you're interacting with me. You're watching the show.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
like New Day.
Yep.
That's my objective. My objective is to make sure that I enjoy my job, that I get paid in my job. And for myself, I want to have some sort of legacy, something that I can like show my kids and be like, hey, this is why I wasn't home, because I was doing this. And if me not being home translates into me being on TV in a position to show young black kids that just because you're too short or simply because you're black and people say like you gotta like rap in sneakers. No, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to be in a box. If people are saying that
Yep.
I'm wasting my time because I'm doing something like that, you're not the person that I'm trying to talk to anyway.
Right.
So to be able to do this and use that type of mentality in the storylines that we're in only gives them extra layers. If
Yeah.
everybody's a badass, nobody's a badass. There's no point to it. We all three play very specific roles. Clearly, we got Kofi on one end, E on one end, and I'm the one in the middle. I'm not lean. I'm not crazy big. I'm the what did they call him in TNA? The what hybrid wrestlers or something? When they like the first X division.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was all the guys who were between like 200 and 220
Yes.
pounds. Like,
Yep.
oh, they're athletic and they look jacked. So like I think all of those things, the way that we have our different sizes, the way we have different move sets, the way that we speak differently, all allow us to play a certain role within whatever angle we're in to help it be more than it would be otherwise.
So Big E would probably be Terry Gordy. Um, your buddy Roberts, and Kofi is Michael PSAs, or even NWO. Big E is obviously Nash. Kofi's Hall, and you're six, I guess.
Oh,
Right? I mean,
hell yeah.
that's kind of the way it goes.
Hell yeah. I loved six so much. Here's a weird thing. I was in a bowling league. I was in many bowling leagues as a child, and I had a blue bowling ball, and six was inscribed on it because I loved six so
Oh,
much.
wow. Damn.
I
Yes.
love six.
NWO. Yes. That's
Hell yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Six. Such a nice guy, too. Like, literally one of the nicest guys
So nice.
out there, too. And underrated. Very underrated. Kind of like yourself.
Mhm,
One of those underrated guys.
mhm,
So, with you yourself, obviously injured right back in October, you had a severe injury.
mhm.
What's the latest on the injury? How you feeling? Are you rehabbing? Are you getting ready to get back out there?
I will say that I'm feeling all right. That's how I answer that question.
Okay, all right. Because I've seen you in a Charles Xavier-esque wheelchair,
Oh yes.
cosplaying around. So, you're obviously kind of playing up. You can't really walk that well, the Achilles injury.
Yeah.
So, kind of like just because you're a huge Xavier, obviously Xavier Woods, but huge Xavier fan, you just thought, hey, screw it, I'm going to actually do a full cosplay of Professor X.
Well, that was so I tore my Achilles on whatever day in Australia. I
Hmm.
flew home. I was at home for a day. The next day I had surgery, and then I'm home like that night. 7 days later, I was at that convention as Professor
Wow,
Xavier.
wow, dedication. Damn.
Well, I love conventions, and when I got injured, obviously I was gutted. I hated it. I was so upset. You know how when like in the movies, I guess in like varsity football, when you're leaving the locker room, everybody like touches the mascot on the wall.
Yep, yep.
The night I tore my Achilles, we're like I said, we're in Australia, and I get on the bus and I just sit in the front seat, and I'm hunched over, head on my knees, because I'm crying and I don't want anybody to see me. So I'm trying to like be as small as possible. And everybody got on the bus and they all like patted me on the shoulder as
Yeah,
they walked
yeah,
by it. And that's all I could think of was like the high school mascot. They're like, come on, man, you got this, you're gonna be okay.
yeah.
And so I was really really in a bad way mentally for like uh maybe like 6 weeks. I just I was not in a good place at all. So going out to that convention that fast was a thing. Like, yes, I really want to do it because I want to go to the convention and I want to cosplay. So we changed the cosplay so I could be Xavier because I was getting around on the scooter. Um, but it was really done to like try to get my head right. Because after that, I just laid in my basement for like 3 weeks straight. 'Cause I could shower down there, and so I just shower. I kind of like ask for somebody to bring down food every once in a while, but I was just in the dark. I wasn't playing video games. I wasn't on my phone.
Oh,
I was just
wow. Wow.
I was just laying there in the worst mental state ever. Um, but then obviously came out of it and got back into doing everything. Um, but a lot of that came from like fear of not knowing if I'd ever be able to come back to wrestling, if I'd be able to like jump, if I'd be able to jog. Like everything is so uncertain in those times. And so I very lucky that I have such good friends, like definitely in Kofi and E, but like Tyler Breeze, always reaching out and making sure that I'm okay. Even like Rick Victor, because me, Rick, and Breeze used to live together. And so just reaching out on a regular basis, making sure that I'm all right, trying to pull me out of the
Hmm.
darkness. But obviously much better now. And we're
Yes.
good. And we're good.
Yes. We can't talk about a return date or anything like that, right? No.
Oh, what? Do you go to a magician and ask them how they do their tricks? I can't give you all of it. I feel like I've
No
given a lot as
spoilers.
it is. I've given a
Yep.
lot as it is.
Yeah, no spoilers. All right, no spoilers. Now, the thing with you, which is great though, is because you have such personality. Like you could be big on YouTube. You could be big, hopefully for G4. You could do all that other stuff, right? You don't necessarily need to. Right? Yes, hopefully, but you don't necessarily need to be in the ring, right? I mean, to really get over, it's much more than that.
Oh, definitely. But please believe that when I am back in the ring, I have my eyes set on something very specific.
Yes.
Something that one person has that
Hmm.
I'm going to take from them.
Hmm.
I'm going to take the crown and I'm going to become king of the ring.
Oh,
That
yes.
that is all that I want. All that I want. I have rep King of the Ring for so long, and when they brought King of the Ring back and I wasn't in the tournament, I was legitimately hurt. Austin Watson was legitimately hurt. That's
Yes.
it. Full government name. And so I vow, I will one day become King of the Ring, and I'll be happy. And I'll be happy. And all I have to do is speak it into existence, and then my actions will navigate me where I need to be.
I love it. That would be awesome. King of the Ring. Yeah, I know. I saw you pumping that. I'm like, what the hell, King of the Ring? He wants to be King of the Ring so much.
I want it. I want it.
Nice. Just got a random question because I know you're a big Xavier fan. Is X-Men the old cartoon? Is that the greatest cartoon of all time, or is Batman the animated series? It's like kind of up in there, or is it something else?
It's something else. Those are both
Okay.
great. Those
Yep.
are both fantastic, incredible cartoons. I would say that the greatest cartoon of all time is Steven Universe.
Whoa.
Steven Universe is incredible.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Dragon Ball Z. Okay. All right.
Dragon Ball Z is great. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love so many things at such a high level, but Steven Universe is like it's fun, it's cute, it's bubbly, but it like hits some very real emotions too that like as an adult they make me cry, they make me sob. But like as a child, I wouldn't fully understand them. But it's stuff that you're getting into your head that you can definitely reach back and understand later, which I think is of the utmost importance for
Hmm.
children.
Yep.
If you only speak to them on the level they can understand, then they can't grow. And Steven Universe does that perfectly, better than anything I've ever seen, while still being entertaining enough for someone who's not a child to fall in love with it.
Awesome. Okay, I got you. Now, as we head towards the wind down, head towards the finish, I just got to know. I guess like a generic, favorite matches, favorite opponents. But I'm always curious of certain guys. Like you've been in there with so many guys in WWE. You mentioned New Japan, TNA, as Consequences Creed, which is an awesome name, kind of an underrated name. But give us, just give us some of your favorites, and maybe even some guys that we wouldn't even think of being some of your favorites.
Ooh, so up there,
Hmm.
Petey Williams. Petey Williams is incredible.
Wow. Okay. Good one.
Good God, Petey Williams is good. he definitely helped me out a lot in that mentality. Like I said, I didn't have like that crazy move, like Fossey mentality. Like I just wasn't getting it. And he's a guy who really stuck his neck out and helped me as much as humanly possible. Chris Daniels,
Yep.
another one of those guys. These are just guys who like took care of me when I was at TNA and had like no clue what to do. Like that whole X division, with like Sanjay, the Machine Guns, Lethal. They're just all awesome dudes. Red,
Oh
freaking
yeah. Yep.
great, freaking great people who were always good to me. You know, and then obviously like going through the years, WWE stuff. The Usos by far. I don't I don't know if we have chemistry with anybody like we do with the Usos because we see wrestling the exact same. And so it makes for, I think, really good matches. Um, who else? God, the Revival, or excuse me.
FTR.
All right, yes, my bad. Those guys are really good, and I don't know. It's like it's this weird thing because I saw something on Twitter a few days ago, and it was like, who was like the first name? I think it was Cheeseburger, Ring of Honor, tweeted it, and it's like, who's the first name that you worked that really showed you like you don't know as much as you think you did, and couldn't figure out a way to word this, and I'm gonna try to now. So like, it's like every time I get in the ring, somebody I realize that they know something that I didn't know. And I have the chance to like learn something from them, whether it's the way that they're selling, whether it's the way that they're like doing a certain move, whether it's the way that they're like yelling at somebody, like everybody. And so obviously someone like a Randy Orton is going to know way more
Yep.
than someone else might.
Yep.
So like watching him. So if you ever notice, I picked something up from him or stole something from him a few years ago. So you notice when he gets mad, his temples start pulsing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yep.
so I was like, whoa, how do you even do that? And I realized one day when I was eating, like I figured out how to do it. And I was like, okay, that's a something that seems so small, but you notice it, but you don't,
Yes.
and
Yep.
it adds a little bit. So like even things like that, or just like moving slowly, there's something that everybody has. And so I don't know. It's freaking, I love wrestling everybody. So I get something out of it. It's harder for me to wrestle big guys because I gotta be more creative. I'm like, I can't just drop kick you in the face and drop. Like I gotta do this. And so it's like a fun thing. It's like a puzzle. And so if I'm wrestling a guy who's my size, I can do way different stuff than I can with like the majority of the roster. So like I love wrestling guys like Chad Gable. My God.
Underrated. Yeah.
What a performer. What a performer. Like my favorite thing in wrestling is best of 7 matches. If I could have a best of 7 with Chad Gable, I'd lose my mind. I'd absolutely lose my mind. So yeah, everybody's got their good stuff and their bad stuff, and if they're good, they just hide their bad stuff and show their good stuff. So I don't know. I feel like I get something out of being in the ring with everybody, and that sometimes that's a bad thing. Maybe I go, ooh, well, I definitely don't want to do that.
Right. Right. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, a lot of people. Really
So you're
good.
loving Magnum and Nikita and Booker T and Chris Benoit. You're loving those best of 7 series. Yes. Now, before we were talking about Kenny Omega and Baron Corbin, I feel like I was going to ask you about dream matches, and obviously Omega and Baron Corbin, because Baron Corbin is the current king. So I feel like those would be, definite dream matches. But what are some other maybe surprise dream matches we wouldn't even think of that you would want that you haven't had yet in the WWE ring?
I want to wrestle Two Cold Scorpio.
Oh, that's an awesome
So
one.
bad. So bad. I want to wrestle him so bad. That's my guy. He's like the reason I got into wrestling.
Yes.
So just once I saw him bust out like a moonsault leg drop, I was like,
Unbelievable.
wait, did you do that through a table? So you didn't even have enough time? It's normally like what? And so in my head, I was like, I'm gonna do all of that. And then I got into a ring and realized I'm not gonna do flips. I'm terrified. I'm terrified. I'll be the baby brawler. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I really want to wrestle Two Cold Scorpio. That would be it for me. But then on the flip side of that, I would also, this will sound weird, I also really want to wrestle Jackie Chan.
Interesting.
Jackie Chan's the greatest pro wrestler of all time.
If you think about it, yeah, he does all his own work, yeah.
Everything, and he knows exactly. He understands fight psychology better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. He's incredible.
Wouldn't think of that.
In any movie that he's in, oh, I train kung fu a little bit, whatever. Oh, but I own this shop and I'm just sweeping up the floor. These guys come in. I politely ask them to stop and then they beat me up because I don't want to fight anybody. And then all of a sudden I can bust out everything. Oh my God, I love this guy. And then they mess him up like what Rumble of the Bronx. They do the beer bottles in the alleyway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What a heat spot. Hell of a heat spot. And then when he finally gets on the comeback, psh, get out of here. I'm 30 movies away from owning every Jackie Chan movie in existence.
It's quite an accomplishment. That's great. Now, Scorpio, which people I don't realize, is probably in his prime too. Probably 230 pounds. Has the best 450 ever. The damn tumbleweed. Like this guy, he's not a lightweight doing these moves. He might be 240 in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, doing this. He was a physical freak. Love Scorpio. I was actually watching Super Bowl III, him versus Benoit, oddly enough, the other night, and he did that. I was like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
so athletic. Just I love Scorpio. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I think my favorite match, I think is him and Sabu for the ECW title. I think it goes to time limit, if I remember right. Yeah, my favorite match. I don't know how it ends.
30-minute time limit draw. Yes.
Yeah. There's a spot in there where Sabu is on Scorpio's back and he like comes out from underneath Sabu, so he's still on all fours, and then he just kicks him in the crotch as hard as he can. What are you doing?
Great spot though. Great spot.
Yeah, so good.
Now, I just want to mention this too, because I feel like Big E, and everyone keeps saying this for years, he's got the prototypical look that Vince loves. He's charismatic. I mean, he's jacked. He's got a great look as far as just his physical presence. He's a great talker. If you really just listen to him, he's got that booming voice that we were talking about earlier. Kofi's injured. Kofi's telling him to go for it. I'm going to guess you're probably going to say the same thing. Do you see him as the future world champion? Because it seems like the writing has been on the wall for a couple of years on that.
Yeah, of course I do. I see E holding all the titles. I see Kofi holding all the titles. I see myself holding all the titles.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw there were so many people like when WWE tweeted it out. I just replied with like the go get them. So many people were like, "Oh, wait. They can all do single stuff and still be friends." It's like, yeah. Not sure why this hasn't happened really before.
Yeah. What are they waiting for? Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's always like, oh, well, this is what's gonna happen when Woods comes back. He's gonna turn on, be mad at everybody and beat him. Like, why? Why would I want to come to work and then all of a sudden alienate myself from my two best friends? And now I have no one watching my back. That just logically doesn't make sense. Just for safety purposes. Safety purposes.
Right.
And if anything, if one of us becomes any type of singles champion, all that does is elevate the entire group. Rising tide raises all ships. You're more valuable. I'm more valuable.
Yep.
He's more valuable too. It's all synergy. This is like, I'm going to tell you, the New Day will go down. If we go down as nothing else, we will go down as the most logically sound wrestling group in the history of the business.
It's so funny because if you think about it, it's like, oh my God, how they've been around so long. One of them should have turned on the other one, or then he should have turned on him, and then he should, like, you know what I mean? Like in typical storyline wrestling, like they would all turn each other. You're right. Maybe this is the most logical way. You guys are just friends, watch each other's back. Now it's Big E's turn, maybe.
Yeah. Why can't we just be friends?
Yep. But in the world of pro wrestling, you got to turn on him. You're jealous, or he's jealous, or something. It always happens. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Bro, I got over 2 million subscribers on my YouTube channel. My Twitch is popping off. I'm trying to get a job at G4. What am I jealous of? I want my boy to shine. I want him to shine. And when I come back, I'm gonna shine. And when Kofi's back, he's gonna shine. It's gonna be the brightest lights in the building. What I don't understand. Why would we not stay friends?
Yep. So really, where do you see yourself, like in a couple of years? Let's just say crystal ball you're looking at. Where do you see yourself? I know you want to be the king, but where do you see yourself? G4, YouTube domination, movies? I mean, where do you see yourself in a couple of years?
A couple of years, I see myself honestly like in all the same places, but just at like the next, like the third higher level from where I am now. And then that's the goal, at least. So like I was saying, I am so in the gaming space because I want to make sure I've got that for after wrestling. Because I don't want to be in a position where it's like I feel like I have to continue like destroying my body at an age where I don't want to anymore. If I want to and I feel fine, by all means. If I can still like shake my hips and like play Francesca to like the degree I could play her 5 years ago, perfect. But if as soon as I can't play Francesca that great anymore, it's somebody else's turn, because I don't want to be in that position at all. And so hopefully I'm still feeling good and we're still wrestling and we're just still sitting up here and still rising. And then hopefully I've got a host gig at G4 and that's going through the roof. And hopefully I'm running and hosting gaming tournaments over here, going through the roof. Hopefully I'm cosplaying and it's going through the roof. Because at this point, the only thing that I could really add to the list of things that I want to be doing is like starting some sort of project to raise money to buy the Golden Girls house that just came out. So like pretty happy.
Yeah. Now please give us the Twitch plugs, the YouTube plugs, the Twitter. I mean, everything and of course the great old hashtag as well.
Oh yes, you can catch me, Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed, the host of the greatest YouTube channel of all time, Up Up Down Down. Subscribe if you have yet to subscribe already. Also, catch me on twitch.tv/Austin Creed. I play video games, sometimes wrestling ones, mostly shooters, but I also DJ as well. So come through. And then remember, every Monday, check out the New Day podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just type in The New Day, click the pink picture with the 3 black guys' faces on it. Thanks for listening to my voice. Even if you like the podcast, just subscribe and you can delete it Monday night and it still helps your boy out.
Nice. Awesome stuff.
And don't forget.
No, you're not done.
Don't forget. I got a lot.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
I want to be a host at G4. Please help me. And check this out. If you don't like me, help me get this hosting gig. And that's one step closer to you of getting out of your face. There you go. Yeah. So help me if you like me, help me if you don't. Hashtag Creed4G4. Use that hashtag as much as possible on the Twitters. Thanks.
Austin, this has been unbelievable. Just appreciate all the time you gave me. Just awesome stuff. The podcast, like you mentioned, dominating. If you look up the rankings, dominating the podcast space, dominating the YouTube space, dominating Twitch. G4, watch out. That you were trending big time, and you still are. So I mean, Twitter, you're dominating. So hopefully you're back in the ring soon, dominating the WWE space as well. So thank you so much, and good luck with everything. I feel like you're just absolutely on top of the world right now.
I'm feeling pretty good, but it's all thanks to people like you who let me come on their platform and talk a little bit.
Yes.
So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.